Warning, this podcast contains bad words and stories about drugs and sex and overthrowing the government. Proceed with caution. Thank you. And now on to our show. Wake up, brother, we got nothing to do. Let's go outside, just me and you, and build a fort. We'll pack a lunch, won't be home till after dark. Then after dinner we can sneak back out. You know that high school girl I've been telling you about? Well, she gets undressed about 8:45, and we can watch her do it from the big old pine next door. She got a room on the second floor. Well, looks like another fucked up day in paradise. I just heard a song on YouTube, Ink Spots doing something that was kind of creepy and spooky. I don't know what the chords are though. I was just trying to make it up. Trying to make it up. Guy has this great voice. So yeah, it's so imitatable. That's a little riff I'm just making up after hearing some Ink Spots on YouTube. Oh no, what happened? Something bad happened. Oh no, nothing bad happened. Everything's great. Hey, this is a Daughter of Godcast Season 4 choice, and this is episode 128. Hello, pig, because it's the Year of the Pig. Yes, we're there. Year of the Pig. The Year of the Dog is done. So, another outline. You know, if you are a person who has been into reading the transcripts, there won't be any transcripts for a while. Just enough text to prompt the podcaster, which is me. So Dog Year is done, and that must mean that the Daughter of God is done. Yes? Well, done by degrees. The plan to get Dog done is done. And even that's not done. So we have a plan. The plan is to have a robust screener in 23 days from now, 22 days from now. And even that's not done though, because, you know, we have a roughly a week after that deadline to get a DCP or digital cinema package ready for Cannes. And that's just for Cannes. So that's just the deadline for Cannes. Other festivals will be popping up right into spring, and with each festival entry, Dog is going to be a little dunner, a little better. And we're also going to be testing in regional theaters within the next 20 or 30 days, followed by questionnaires and discussion. And based on that feedback, further tweaking and polishing. Mooring. And so what does done look like? What does it actually look like? The movie, finish the movie, Well, backwardsness. Like in episode 127, which was last week, I was riffing on the supposed backwardness of my process. There's like this crazy falling into place. Who knew there'd be this massive integration at the last minute? Now, at long last, the Deep Archive is available. This is not an official announcement. It's not quite ready for prime time. The quest to establish stable web development continues. In other words, technology breaks. Websites, they're often Utah, and there's support people who sometimes they know what they're doing and sometimes they don't. And things happen. Things happen. And sometimes they happen and it turns out well, and sometimes not so much. Anyway, not only has getting the technology working been a little bit tricky, but also there's a lot of new integration to add to the Deep Archive. A lot of stuff that's happened in the past 2 weeks hasn't been put on there yet. But even so, it's immediately available. The Deep Archive is immediately available for your perusal, warts and all. And you can find that at https://y.movie or www.ywhy.movie, which, if you've been following this podcast, is a question that I have asked repeatedly, especially during the first season of the podcast. Why movie? Why should I make movies? Why? And so many answers to that question. Well, okay, so what is the Deep Archive anyway? It's a tool for keeping track of all of the projects. There it is, right there. Ideas and components and plans and anything else that might relate to the movie. It started out as a local installation of WordPress, a website living only on my laptop. Only I could see it. And WordPress, is for WordPress is for websites, for making websites, but it's basically a database. So you can use databases. What do you use databases for? You use them to catalog and access data in a efficient way. And so what's Daughter of God's data? Well, it's the details of this story. There's a lot of details in this story, especially now that it's all kind of coming together. And production, different aspects of production and maybe things I've learned, mistakes I've made and or how to do things better. Reference material, all the various crazy stuff in the real world that has influenced Daughter of God. And of course, then there's credits. Who are all the people that helped? And what about rights? Do I have rights to all the material that I'm using? So that's all the data that goes into the Deep Archive and supports the finishing of this movie, the making and the finishing. And another reason I did this idea of, or that I'm excited about this idea of a Deep Archive, is because from the beginning I really liked the idea of open source, and this is an open source movie, mostly, sort of, in the sense that my process is kind of right out here for everybody to see. And so you can be like, oh my God, I never want to do what that guy Dan Kelly does. You can make that decision. Or you can say, hey, that guy's got some pretty nifty ideas. I want to copy him. So open source, it's like learn from somebody else and just lay out the whole process so that it's available and people can sort through it. And I kind of got this. I was inspired to do this by Cory Doctorow, who I've talked about on the podcast before, who has a website, craphound.com. That's craphound.com. And what Cory does, he's a science fiction writer, and he writes some really great stories, but he basically makes every story that he's ever written available for free download on his website. So if you like science fiction and you like, really great writing, you can go and get any of Corey's stories for free. And I thought to myself, so his philosophy is that, look, if you've got an idea that you're kind of trying to protect, this is sort of a Jeff Gibbs thing too. If you've got an idea you're trying to protect and hold really close to your chest because someone might steal it, well, that's really not going to get you anywhere. It's better to just put your ideas out there and hope people will steal them. Because if people will steal your ideas, then that means that they're actually got some legs on them. And yeah, so whatever. That's maybe a Dan Kelly train wreck paraphrase of Corey's philosophy. But the idea is that I like the idea of putting my stuff out there, sharing it with people, and letting it find its own way in the world, and not be so protective about, well, I've got to have my copyright and I have to make sure that I have a distributor and no one's pirating my stuff. I have a story about my friend Rich Brower, who I feel like he missed an opportunity, but this is just me. He doesn't have to agree with me. I'm just saying this. But he has this movie. It's called Dogman, and whatever. But it kind of, I guess, reminded some Spanish-speaking people in Mexico, I guess, about the Chupacabra legend, whatever. And so some fan took his movie and put it on the web with Spanish subtitles. Okay, I mean, the guy did all this work to do these Spanish subtitles on this movie, and this made Rich kind of mad. He's like, hey, whoa, can't have somebody stealing my movie. But holy smokes, some Spanish-speaking person went to all the trouble to frickin' subtitle this movie. And now a zillion Spanish-speaking people can watch this movie. But he had his distributor, get on YouTube and take it down. Man, if I had someone subtitle Daughter of God in Ukrainian, I would be so excited. Yeah, that's like, that's momentum. That's just like distribution, big time. So anyway, open source, blah, blah, blah. That's what this is about. I like the idea of putting the deep archive available, because it's like, okay, here it is. Here's the backstory. Here's the front story. Here's the side tracks here's the cul-de-sacs that didn't go anywhere. Here's the whole thing, mostly. I don't know about anybody else, what anybody else's movie making process looks like, but this is what I want my movie making process to look like. First, I like feedback. Season 2 crowd creation was fun and inspiring, and because of this interaction with people, letting them see scenes in progress and tell me what they thought and what their feelings were, the movie became more. I love that. I'm going to build that into every movie I make from now on, that idea of feedback as early as possible and right through the process. And I'm really looking forward. I'm so excited to test screen in actual theaters packed with warm human bodies. Interaction with people, just even listening. Where are they laughing? Are they like falling asleep? Being in the audience, kind of hiding out and just paying attention to what's happening around me. That sounds like a blast. But also like asking questions of the audience, and finding out what worked for them and what didn't. Also, I really like the effective documentation of ideas, such that the really compelling ideas can continue to be influential throughout the whole project. And that's sort of what the Deep Archive is about, is, okay, so I've had all these different ideas. Some of them I've kind of just squirreled away. And can I go into my database of the Daughter of God and search for everything that has to do with Jerry's props, let's say, Jerry's inventions that he's making in his cabin. And that's what Melanie's working on right now. It'd be super handy to be able to say to her, here, go and search on this in the Deep Archive, and you'll find everything there is to find about Jerry's inventions. So, anyway, so there you go. That's the kind of thing. Those are some of the significant components that I want my movie making to have. And so getting back to getting done. It would have been probably cool, super cool, had the Deep Archive been available online maybe 2 or 3 months ago, and I had been on it and maintaining it and making it really accessible and easy to use for all this time. But I'm kind of feeling right now it's better late than never, because again, I would probably in future movies, I would have a deep archive available much sooner as a resource, not only for myself, but other people working on the project and for the audience. But at least it's available now. And I know that in the future, this is going to be important to me. It's been important to me all through this process, but I really am excited about having it be more prominent as new projects show up. And so here it is, bam, yeah, kind of at the end of the movie, it's okay, but at least it's there. It's part of the completion process. These components in place. And so what else does completion look like? Well, okay, so taking the deep archive online is another box I can check off. And, there's still some revising and updating the deep archive as I revise and update it. That's going to definitely intensify the integration that's been already happening, fitting together of these fragments accumulated over decades. I've got a bunch of stuff to stick in there now. It's been a couple weeks since this integration has been going on. I need to catch up and put all that stuff in there. And who knows how all those pieces will click together once I start doing that. So my vision for how this movie would wrap is a web presence that showcases the project and the interesting spin-offs. And like what's talking about the podcast, we've got a podcast going on. We got some crazy swag and feedback from prior scenes. And those are all part of this project. And they're all up. That's all up there and available. Multiple language. We're working on French right now. And with a little luck, we can get this crazy international multi-site thing figured out in the next, few days, let's say. And we'll have a French version as well as an English version of the website up. Huh? How cool is that? We've got this comprehensive archive. The deep archive is, covering basically inception of the project right through to completion. We have a seed audience of maybe a few hundred. It'd be cool if we're a few thousand, but hey, a few hundred is pretty great. They're already people who are already sort of paying attention to the project. We have a couple hundred listeners to the podcast every week, and so there you go. That's kind of what we need to be done, because actually being done means we're really just getting started, bringing the movie into the world. So all this stuff is like in place already to launch the project, and of course the movie itself, which is coming. She's coming. A small tribe of helpers and collaborators, which we're getting. There's more and more people who are coming on to help and get aspects of the project wrapped. And that's great. And another component of completion, the most important component, is just feeling great. Feeling great about this thing that I've been working on for so long and is now coming to fruition, fruiting like an apple tree, like a raspberry tree, like a strawberry tree. Feeling great is a really important part of this finish. There's still things to do, but that doesn't stop me from just feeling amazing right now. And in fact, as we have covered many times in this podcast, feeling great actually comes before things being great. The feeling comes before the reality, and that's actually what encourages the reality to happen. Okay. It looks like we're still recording on all channels. That's great. All right. Well, so here's the last little bit here's the last little wrinkle, because we got to add some drama to the big finish. So the feature requirement for Ken is 60 minutes. And, my estimation of the dog in its current state with all these different pieces would be around 72 minutes. And the most recent assembly that I just did is 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes. So where's the other 30 minutes going to come from between now and 20 days from now? And this is, again, why the Deep Archive is kind of cool. It's in the Deep Archive is plenty of lost content that we can recover, and also rediscovering some of the story that might have been forgotten. And then there's this other part of the project, which was kind of like this throw-off, crazy spin-off thing that happened, The Signals from a Nearby Now. I think they're going to somehow find their way into the movie a little bit more prominently than they have at present. So, the movie making, that is making me 30 minutes more movie to make. That's twice as much me that we get to see. And that's the Daughter of Godcast, episode 128. Hello, pig. Another lucky year for this water rabbit. The end of the Chinese Year of the Dog. The beginning of the Daughter of God. Created, done by degrees, mooring for months yet. And you're right here as we leap into the air.
With us through the twirl, flip, and rotate, arcing over the ice. Graceful, impossible, the most we ever. Inevitably, a descent and landing, touching down, weight balanced on steel blades in a frictionless slick of liquid water. Either a fortunate glide triumphantly upright, or slamming down to a knee, or an awkward sprawl, spread buttocks. Human, after all. You've felt the acceleration, the knees folding, core compressing, and then exploding up and outward.
Beyond what has ever been felt before. Together, we fly.